Imagine for a moment that for centuries, a profound secret has been circulating in the deepest undercurrents of human existence. This isn't just any secret. It's an ancient practice, a technique so potent, so utterly transformative that those in positions of power made a deliberate choice to keep it hidden. Not because it was a fanciful myth or a failed experiment, oh no. It was concealed precisely because it worked too well. Picture an ancient key, seemingly lost to the relentless march of time, yet perfectly capable of unlocking the most sacred and intimate gateway imaginable, the undiluted, luminous memory of your very soul. This technique, whispered about in hushed tones by initiates, doesn't aim to burden you with new information or complicated doctrines. Instead, its singular, brilliant purpose is to gently, yet decisively, lift away the heavy veils of illusion, the false narratives, and the limiting beliefs that have been meticulously, often unknowingly, forced upon us. Consider this. The greatest deception ever perpetrated wasn't about making humanity ignorant of facts and figures. The true masterstroke of manipulation was far more insidious. It was convincing us, generation after generation, that we were something fundamentally less than what we truly are. What if today, right now, you could finally remember the authentic purpose that beats within your heart, the very reason your soul chose this dance of life? What if, instead of tirelessly searching for answers and validation in the cacophony of the external world, you rediscovered a voice, an unwavering knowing, deep inside you, a voice that, in truth, never abandoned you, but was merely drowned out? And what if this intrinsic, powerful voice could be reawakened, not through arduous struggle, but through a specific, elegant technique once reserved for a select few, carefully shielded from those who would inevitably twist its sacred power into yet another tool for control and manipulation? This isn't just a story you're about to read, it's a profound invitation, a carefully laid map back to a practice deemed forbidden. And why forbidden? Not because it harbors darkness or danger, but because it shines with a light so fiercely brilliant, so undeniably true, that it threatens to dissolve the very shadows where control and ignorance thrive. Those who cling to power in this world, the architects of our collective amnesia, fear an awakened soul far more than they could ever fear a sleeping army. Are you ready to step into a light they tried to extinguish? Because what you're about to discover isn't just knowledge, it's an activation. In the coming exploration, we will journey back through time, unearthing the hidden origins of this remarkable technique. We'll trace its roots, like ancient gnarled vines, back to forgotten schools of wisdom, to civilizations that understood the intricate dance between the seen and unseen worlds. We will meticulously examine why such a profound pathway to self-realization was systematically suppressed, deliberately altered, or contemptuously mocked by the very systems that benefit from souls remaining in a state of slumber. And most importantly, we will illuminate how you can practically, tangibly use this rediscovered art to remember who you really are. This isn't about adopting a new identity or polishing a superficial story you tell the world. It's about reconnecting with your fundamental essence, a living eternal consciousness, a unique and irreplaceable vibration in the grand orchestra of existence. We'll weave together compelling stories, potent symbols, and the timeless wisdom of ancient philosophy to untangle ideas that may seem complex, guiding you back to the simple, profound core of what truly matters. This isn't a dry, theoretical lesson to be passively absorbed. It's an invitation to an intimate inner experience, but it requires a willingness to listen with more than just your ears, to perceive with more than just your mind. Because this technique isn't something you merely memorize, it's something you feel, something you activate, and most critically, something you remember from the deepest wellspring of your being. So, if a part of you feels that pull, that undeniable stirring to look beyond the surface, to courageously question everything you've been told about yourself, and to walk steadfastly toward the truth your soul has always whispered, then what follows could very well be the spark that ignites your own magnificent awakening. Remember, forbidden doesn't always signify danger. Sometimes, it simply means the truth is too overwhelmingly powerful to be shared openly, too liberating to be tolerated by those who prefer you confined. Almost every ancient culture, if you listen closely, shares a common haunting thread, a quiet, persistent whisper that transcends continents and bridges the vast expanse of centuries. It's the profound idea that humanity, in its current state, has largely forgotten its true nature, its divine origins. They taught that life, as most of us experience it, is akin to a vivid dream, a mesmerizing illusion, a delicate veil artfully drawn between our everyday consciousness and our authentic, boundless selves. Yet woven into this narrative of forgetfulness is always the promise of return, the existence of specific paths, sacred practices meticulously designed to reawaken that sacred, dormant memory. But here lies the crucial catch, the detail often overlooked. These potent practices, these keys to self-realization, are seldom found in mainstream history books, rarely taught in conventional schools, and almost never preserved in their original purity within organized religions. Instead, they were often driven underground, hidden in plain sight, banned as heretical or deliberately twisted into empty superstitions, mocked and symbolically locked away, ensuring that their true transformative power remained inaccessible to the uninitiated masses. For instance, journey with me to ancient Egypt, where the revered priests of the houses of life conducted secret initiation rituals. Here, neophytes would undergo a profound symbolic death, their physical bodies resting in a state of deep stillness for hours, sometimes days, while their consciousness, their very essence, was expertly guided by a master through the subtle, luminous spiritual realms. When they returned, they were irrevocably changed. They had traversed the veil and, in doing so, had remembered. Venture then to ancient Greece, where the Orphic schools of mystery described the soul as being trapped within the physical body, not in a pessimistic sense of eternal damnation, but as an essential part of a grand cosmic purification process. They taught intricate techniques involving sacred chants, specific breathing patterns, and the induction of trance states, all designed to allow the soul to temporarily liberate itself from its earthly identity and catch a breathtaking glimpse of its divine origin. This experience, they insisted, was not merely revealing, it was irreversible, planting a seed of knowing that could never be unknown. Travel eastward to ancient India, where the rishis, the illumined sage-seers, taught the profound concept of smarana, the act of remembering what the soul inherently already knows. To these masters, spiritual ignorance wasn't a lack of accumulated information or intellectual prowess. It was a fundamental disconnection from one's inner source. The path back, therefore, wasn't about amassing more external knowledge, but about a radical process of unlearning, of detaching internally from the ephemeral, of practicing deep resonant silence, and of meticulously aligning one's inner vibrations to gently coax consciousness back to its original, pristine state. Across all these diverse examples, and countless others lost to time, the essence of the technique, though varied in its outward form, remained strikingly consistent. It was never about learning something new from an external source. It was always and unequivocally about reconnecting with the spiritual memory, the innate wisdom held deep within the sanctuary of the self. Then, a shadow began to fall. The rise of religious wars, the institutionalization and politicization of spirituality, and the burgeoning dominance of external authority over inner, direct truth. These forces converged to create what can only be described as a period of profound spiritual darkness. What was once a vibrant, living path to remembrance, a direct line to the divine, often devolved into empty, repetitive rituals, rigid, unyielding dogma, or was outright condemned as heresy. The powerful, holistic techniques were systematically broken apart, their individual components scattered like forgotten jewels. Potent symbols, once keys to unlocking deeper states of consciousness, were hidden within allegorical myths, their true meanings veiled. The core teachings, the very heart of this ancient wisdom, were sealed off, labeled as dangerous. But dangerous to whom? We must ask. Dangerous, undoubtedly, to the burgeoning systems of control that desperately needed individuals to forget their inherent power, to remain pliable and dependent. Because you see, once a soul truly, deeply remembers who it is, once it reclaims its sovereign connection to the infinite, it can no longer be easily controlled, manipulated, or suppressed. And today, after centuries of slumber, this profound knowledge is beginning to resurface, not as some trendy New Age invention, but as an ancient memory stirring within the collective consciousness, awakening spontaneously in those souls who are finally, truly ready to receive it. And the most astonishing, liberating part of this entire narrative, this so-called forbidden technique, this key to your own soul, has never truly been lost. It has always been there, resting patiently in the deepest, most sacred recesses of your consciousness, just waiting, ever so patiently, for you to recognize it, to reclaim it, to bring it back into the light. To truly grasp the transformative power of this forbidden technique, we must first fundamentally rethink a common misconception. The soul, in its essence, doesn't need to learn who it is. It is already whole, complete, and inherently wise. What it needs profoundly is to remember. And this remembrance, this profound reacquaintance with self, doesn't arise from intellectual rumination or logical deduction. It blossoms from a specific vibration, an internal frequency that, when activated and sustained, acts as a universal solvent for illusion. When this precise frequency begins to resonate within you, all that is false, all that is borrowed, all that is a mere construct of the conditioned mind begins to gently, inexorably fall away. And in its place, all that is authentically true, all that is eternally you, starts to shine forth like a quiet, unwavering light emerging from the dawn. But the question remains, how does one access and cultivate this transformative frequency? The forbidden technique isn't a rigid set of memorized words, nor is it an elaborate external ritual dependent on props or specific locations. It is at its heart an internal process, a meticulously sequenced series of steps that work to align your physical body, your mental faculties, your subtle energy systems, and your deepest consciousness. Through this harmonious alignment, a powerful resonance is created, and it is through this resonance that your soul's memory spontaneously appears, not as a fleeting idea or a philosophical concept, but as a palpable, living, breathing experience. Imagine your soul as a perfect, exquisitely beautiful melody, a divine song composed just for you. However, this inherent melody is currently obscured, muffled by layers upon layers of discordant noise, the incessant interference of external beliefs imposed upon you, the lingering static of past traumas, the heavy cloak of societal and familial conditioning. This ancient technique, then, works much like a master instrument tuner. It doesn't attempt to add anything new to your inherent composition. It doesn't try to write a different song. Instead, it delicately, skillfully removes what is blocking the pure sound, polishes away the accumulated tarnish, and brings every aspect of your being into perfect, resonant harmony. As this meticulous tuning process unfolds, that original breathtaking melody, the true song of your soul, naturally begins to play again, clear, vibrant, and unmistakably your own. This profound technique generally unfolds through three primary phases. While these phases may not always occur in a strictly linear, sequential order and often interweave, all are essential for the full flowering of remembrance. First, and often considered the most challenging yet foundational step, is the deprogramming of the false self. This involves a courageous and honest excavation of your inner landscape. It means meticulously identifying the myriad voices within you that aren't truly yours. The thoughts you've passively accepted without question, the societal expectations you've internalized, the emotional reactions that are conditioned responses rather than authentic feelings, and the various masks you wear, often without even realizing you've put them on. This phase requires you to observe yourself with profound, non-judgmental depth. Ask yourself, what am I truly thinking beneath the surface chatter? What do I genuinely, deeply desire, free from external influence? What are my most profound fears, and where did they originate? And with each answer, gently probe further. Is this truly mine? an authentic expression of my core being? Or was it subtly or not so subtly put upon me by family, culture, education, or experiences? This technique teaches you to systematically clear out these old, entrenched mental habits and emotional patterns, not by aggressively fighting against them, for what you resist persists, but by seeing them with crystal clarity for what they are: constructs. Anything that wasn't built from the unshakable foundation of your true self can, with conscious awareness, be lovingly dismantled by your true self once that awareness dawns. Second, as the pervasive noise of the false self begins to fade, something extraordinary happens. An activation of your inner sense occurs. This isn't a new faculty you develop. It's a subtle, powerful mode of perception you've always possessed, but have rarely noticed or trusted, overshadowed as it has been by the clamor of the rational mind and the turbulence of conditioned emotions. This inner sense is not logical in the conventional way, nor is it purely emotional. It is a form of direct, intuitive perception, a clear knowing that bypasses ordinary thought processes. You don't force this sense awake, rather, you gently, patiently tune into it. The technique facilitates this awakening through practices such as mindful, conscious breathing that anchors you in the present moment, silent rituals that consecrate your inner space, the cultivation of full embodied presence in your physical being, and the focused visualization of potent, ancient symbols. A crucial understanding here is that what you imagine with unwavering focus and heartfelt devotion, your soul accepts as a profound reality. This isn't mere daydreaming or fantasy. This kind of focused imagination acts as a powerful bridge between the conscious mind and the deeper strata of the soul. The symbols often employed in these practices, archetypes like an eternally burning inner flame, the unfolding lotus within the heart, or the soul's clear reflective mirror, are not arbitrary or made up. They are universal images, resonant keys that, when used with reverence and intention, unlock ancient memories and bring them vividly to life. When engaged correctly, they don't just create abstract ideas, they awaken inner visions, direct experiences, and profound reconnections. Third, as your inner landscape clears and your intuitive senses sharpen, you approach the phase of resonance with your true name. Deep spiritual traditions across the globe speak of the soul's hidden or sacred name. This isn't a word to be spoken aloud with the physical tongue, but rather a unique, ineffable vibration, a specific energetic signature that is the very essence of your individual consciousness. This technique teaches that every sentient being possesses such a sacred frequency. When you learn to call upon it correctly, not through verbal incantation, but by embodying a particular state of serene, receptive awareness and aligning your entire being to its subtle call, you instantly, unmistakably recognize it. The experience is often described as a door that has been sealed for centuries suddenly, effortlessly swinging open. You don't remember with your analytical mind, you remember with your entire vibrational being. A powerful, unshakable certainty washes over you, a feeling that is both exhilarating and deeply peaceful. This is me. I have always been this. I simply somehow forgot. This intricate process of deprogramming, activation, and resonance doesn't typically happen overnight. It requires unwavering dedication, radical honesty with oneself, and a steadfast commitment to the inner journey. But once it truly begins, once the first authentic notes of your soul's song are heard, something irreversible occurs. A part of you, the eternal observer, begins to watch your life unfold from a deeper, calmer, and infinitely more real place. And that truly is when the most profound journey of all begins. As the transformative technique takes deeper effect, as the carefully constructed layers of the false self begin to weaken and dissolve, and as your inner vibration clarifies and strengthens, something truly beyond the capacity of mere words begins to happen. Your soul, in its infinite wisdom, starts to remember without the cumbersome process of thinking or analyzing. It's akin to a brilliant light suddenly switching on in a vast, unexplored room within your own being. A room you've always possessed but perhaps never consciously entered or explored. What appears in this illumination are not abstract ideas or intellectual concepts, but living presences, aspects of your authentic self that have been patiently waiting in the wings, yearning to be seen, acknowledged, and integrated. The you who loves unconditionally, without reservation or fear. The you who trusts implicitly in the benevolent flow of life. The you who knows with an unshakable certainty, without ever needing to be taught or to learn in the conventional sense. These facets of your true nature step forward into the light of your awareness. It is at this profound stage that awakening ceases to be a distant spiritual goal and becomes a tangible, lived reality. The soul begins to actively, joyfully recognize its divine origins, its interconnectedness with all that is. However, woven into this luminous tapestry of self-discovery is a quiet, crucial warning, a truth often sidestepped in more superficial spiritual narratives. Not everything you discover in the depths of your being is pure, unadulterated light, at least not initially. When you begin to remember with clarity who you truly are, you also, by necessity, recall with equal clarity who you are not. The mistakes you've made, the unfinished choices still echoing in your energy field, the unhealed wounds that have subtly shaped your perceptions and reactions. All these shadows come up to the surface, not as a form of punishment, but as an integral part of the liberation process. You cannot fully embrace the totality of your soul, its magnificent light, without also courageously facing, understanding, and integrating your shadow aspects. When practiced with integrity and depth, this technique reveals not just your inherent brilliance, but also everything you've painstakingly hidden, even from yourself. This is precisely why many ancient traditions cautioned that such potent practices could be dangerous for the uninitiated or the spiritually immature. Facing your soul with complete unvarnished honesty requires a profound spiritual maturity, a fortitude not measured in years lived, but by your unwavering willingness to confront the entirety of your truth, warts and all. At this juncture, those who commit deeply to the practice often enter a state that can be described as a conscious trance. This is not the disassociated trance commonly discussed in psychology, nor is it a hypnotic state where one loses self-awareness or agency. Quite the contrary, it is an expanded state of awareness, a heightened consciousness where the soul, your true essence, gently takes the reins of your perception. In this state, you may still sense your physical body, be aware of your immediate surroundings, but you also notice them from a slightly detached, more objective viewpoint. Thoughts may still arise, but they no longer control you. You observe them as passing clouds in the vast sky of your awareness. It's as if your core consciousness takes a subtle step back from the machinations of your ego, from the drama of your personal story. From this quiet, centered place, everything in your life begins to gain new depth and meaning. Emotions become clearer, less overwhelming, perceived as energy in motion rather than defining identities. Your sensory perception widens, becoming more acute and nuanced. The rigid construct of linear time often feels looser, more fluid. Sudden, brilliant intuitions may arise, seemingly out of nowhere, without any discernible logical cause. And sometimes, vivid memories or strong impressions from what feel like past lives or echoes from ancestral lineages may surface, a knowledge you never formally studied but somehow seem to carry deep within your cells. This is the deepest, most transformative part of the technique in action. It ceases to be something you practice at designated times. It becomes the very state from which you begin to live. You start to navigate your existence from this new authentic center, no longer needing to wear ill-fitting masks or play prescribed roles, but acting spontaneously and authentically from your true self. Decisions become infused with an intuitive clarity. Relationships deepen with honesty and genuine connection, and fears that once loomed large begin to lose their intensity, their power to dictate your choices. And here lies the beautiful paradox. The soul doesn't learn who it is through painstaking effort. It simply remembers. This memory isn't a static picture or a linear story stored in the brain. It's a steady, resonant vibration. an unmistakable feeling recognized instantly and profoundly as home. This is the sacred space where the most profound transformation occurs. The soul settles into its own being. And once that happens, once you've tasted that homecoming, nothing in your life can ever truly be the same. Your physical body remains, the circumstances of your life may continue, but something deep inside you, something eternal and true, has awakened, and it will never fully consent to go back to sleep again. And this, ultimately, is why this ancient technique was often whispered about as forbidden. Not because it holds inherent danger for you, the seeker, but because it poses an existential threat to everything that has, for so long, conspired to keep you and humanity comfortably asleep. The journey of awakening isn't a singular dramatic event that, once experienced, permanently catapults you into a state of perpetual enlightenment. While profound moments of deep inner revelation are invaluable milestones, the true artistry lies in sustaining that connection, in integrating that awakened awareness into the fabric of your everyday existence. The powerful technique we've been exploring isn't merely a spiritual experience to be savored in quiet contemplation and then forgotten amidst the hustle of daily life. It's a living compass, a practical guide for navigating the complexities of your day-to-day world with grace, wisdom, and authenticity. Bringing this remembrance into your daily actions, thoughts, and interactions is what transforms casual seekers into embodied wise ones, passive learners into inspiring teachers, and mundane routine into sacred ritual. We're not talking about imposing strict, joyless rules or retreating from the world. Instead, we're illuminating living principles, pathways that, when followed with consistent intention and heartfelt persistence, serve to awaken and maintain that precious remembrance, even in the midst of life's most demanding and distracting moments. True spiritual power isn't about achieving a fleeting glow in the isolated serenity of a meditation cave. It's about maintaining your inner light, your awakened presence, while fully engaged in the bustling marketplace of life, amidst all its noise and beautiful chaos. First, cultivate the practice of active silence. The soul remembers itself most clearly, most profoundly in silence. This isn't just the mere absence of external sound, though that can be a helpful starting point. It's a deeper, more intentional silence. A silence of full, undivided attention, a conscious turning inward. Make a commitment to take a few minutes each day, no matter how brief or how long your schedule allows, to simply be with yourself. During this time, don't actively seek anything specific. Don't strive for profound visions or expect earth-shattering epiphanies. Simply breathe, watch your breath, observe the flow of your thoughts without judgment, and allow yourself to rest in the quiet spaciousness of your own being. This dedicated time isn't just a pause or a moment of rest. It's the creation of an inner sanctuary. It's within this sacred, silent space that the subtle echo of your true name, your soul's unique vibration, begins to resonate more clearly, more consistently through the diminishing static of the everyday mind. Second, endeavor to turn your everyday actions into a ceremony. One of the profound keys to sustaining this remembrance lies in imbuing your most mundane, routine actions with a sense of presence and sacredness. The way you eat your meals, the way you walk from one place to another, the way you engage in conversation, even the way you simply look at the world around you. If you perform these actions from your awakened center, from a place of mindful awareness, they cease to be mere habits and become potent acts of remembrance. Every gesture can become an offering, a prayer in motion. Every word spoken can be an invitation to deeper connection, both with yourself and with others. Continuously, gently ask yourself throughout your day, am I acting from a conditioned mask, a learned persona, or am I expressing myself from the authentic depth of my soul? When you begin to live from your soul, even the smallest, most ordinary things become imbued with a sacred quality, and it is this consistent, conscious engagement that keeps the flame of your remembrance brightly alive. Third, become acutely mindful of what you feed your mind and senses. Your soul, in its essence, never truly forgets its nature. However, Your conscious mind can easily bury that precious memory under an overwhelming avalanche of distractions, negativity, and superficial information. Pay close attention. What content do you watch? What kinds of conversations do you regularly participate in? What images, thoughts, and narratives do you allow to repeat in the inner theater of your mind? This ancient technique teaches that everything you take in through your senses, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, and even thought, shapes your inner vibrational state. And that inner vibration is like the sacred temple, the resonant chamber, where your soul's memory most clearly and powerfully shows up. Therefore, consciously curate your inner and outer environment. Care for your attention as a skilled alchemist meticulously tends a precious transformative fire, ensuring only the purest elements contribute to its flame. Fourth, practice speaking less, and when you do speak, let it arise from a deeper well within. Resist the common habit of merely repeating what you've read in a book or heard from someone else, no matter how wise it may sound. Strive not to use other people's words as a substitute for your own authentic expression. Be mindful of speaking out of mere habit or to fill uncomfortable silences. Instead, when you do choose to speak, allow your voice to emanate from that quiet, centered place where your soul resides. Words spoken from a state of remembrance carry a different quality, a resonant power that has the innate ability to awaken something similar in others. Let your voice become a clear channel, not primarily for the transmission of intellectual ideas, but for the sharing of authentic resonance, of heartfelt truth. Fifth, and perhaps most subtly powerful, act as if you already know, fully and completely, who you are, even if you feel you haven't fully, consciously remembered yet. Live your life as if that deep, unwavering connection to your soul is already your constant reality. This isn't about pretending or adopting a false bravado. It's about consciously tuning in to that inherent truth, aligning your actions with the wisdom you intuitively sense within. The soul, in its mysterious way, doesn't always reveal its full splendor when it encounters constant doubt or hesitant engagement. It often shows up most vibrantly when it sees you courageously willing to live true to your deepest understanding of who you really are, even before that understanding is fully articulated or intellectually grasped. Walk through your days as if you carry an ancient, sacred legacy within your very cells, because you do. Love as if you have loved for centuries, with a boundless heart, because on a soul level, you have. And always remember, true remembrance doesn't come from an arduous external search. It blossoms from within through the cultivation of your unique, sacred vibration. For centuries, a pervasive narrative has been woven into the collective consciousness, that awakening is an arduous, almost unattainable feat, that the soul is an enigmatic mystery far beyond our mortal comprehension, and that truly knowing who we are in our deepest essence is a rare privilege reserved for a chosen few, for saints and mystics secluded from the world. But I tell you now, with a conviction born from deep resonance, that this is not the ultimate truth. The most profoundly forbidden truth, the one they hoped you'd never discover, isn't complicated, obscure, or hidden in some inaccessible realm. It is breathtakingly simple, stunningly direct, intimately close, and above all, it is the very thing that those who prefer you to remain asleep, to stay small and controlled, fear the most. This journey we have embarked upon together, through these words and ideas, isn't just a collection of philosophical concepts or historical anecdotes. It is intended as a living map, a resonant signal, a guiding torch for all those who sense, deep within their bones, that there is something more. Something profoundly real and meaningful beyond the name you answer to every day, beyond the societal roles you diligently play, beyond the limiting story you've been told and have perhaps told yourself about who you are. You are not that constrained identity. You never, ever were. You are in truth a vibrant, irreplaceable strand in the infinite tapestry of eternal consciousness, a unique and essential note in a cosmic symphony that is still playing, your ancient, timeless memory merely dressed in the fleeting garments of the present moment. And yes, you forgot. We all, in some measure, forgot. But here is the key, the glorious, liberating secret you can remember. The technique we've explored, this path to reawakening, isn't some newfangled invention, nor is it a secret formula to be purchased or exclusively owned. It is a reflection, a mirroring of what has always, eternally been present within you. It is the gentle, yet powerful reawakening of your own primal memory, your soul's innate wisdom. Most importantly, you don't need to embark on an exhaustive external search for it. You don't need to find the perfect guru, achieve an impossible standard of perfection, or wait for some external validation. You simply need to consciously, courageously return to your own center, to quiet the relentless noise of the conditioned mind, and to allow your soul, already full of infinite wisdom and boundless love, to show you what it has always intrinsically known. Remembering who you truly are doesn't just change how you think or what you believe. It fundamentally transforms how you perceive and interact with the world. You begin to stop seeing adversaries and start recognizing mirrors, opportunities for deeper self-understanding. You cease to fear the unfolding future and start to honor its sacred potential, co-creating it with conscious intention. You stop unconsciously repeating broken, inherited stories and begin to write your life's narrative from the wellspring of your authentic truth. When that profound truth comes alive within you, when it becomes your lived reality, everything changes completely and irrevocably. You find you no longer desperately need approval from others because you are unshakably connected to something infinitely greater, to the source of all approval. You stop feeling the incessant need to have all the answers because your cultivated inner silence has grown profoundly wise, offering guidance more reliable than any external authority. You cease the restless chasing of love because you realize with a clarity that moves you to tears that you are love in its purest, most expansive form.